Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood before the crystalline dais of the Galactic High Council, her worn leather boots clicking against the pristine metallic floor. Around her, the representatives of 12 alien species lounged in their bio-adaptive chairs, their forms ranging from the ethereal gas wraiths of Zephyros to the towering silicon-based architects of Kepler 442b. The human delegation requests permission to observe their ritual during the upcoming convergence, she announced, her voice steady despite the weight of 1,000 disapproving gazes. High Counselor Vexithera of the Hegemony leaned forward, his forearms gesticulating dismissively. Ritual? You mean that barbaric practice of gathering around deceased plant matter and consuming toxins? His words dripped with the synthesized disdain that his species had perfected over millennia. It's called Christmas dinner, Elena replied calmly, and we'd like to share it with our fellow council members. The chamber erupted in what could charitably be called laughter. The Zephyrians' crystalline chimes tinkled mockingly, while the Hegemony representatives clicked their mandibles in amusement. Even the usually stoic architects vibrated at a frequency that Elena's translator interpreted as profound ridicule. Humans and their primitive attachments, wheezed Counselor Morden through his breathing apparatus. Tell me, Ambassador, how does consuming the flesh of lesser creatures and fermented plant juices contribute to galactic civilization? Elena's jaw tightened, but she maintained her diplomatic composure. Our traditions strengthen our bonds, High Counselor. They remind us of what we're fighting for. Fighting? Vexithara's laugh was like grinding metal. Humans, you've been part of this council for barely a century. The Hegemony has maintained peace for 10,000 years through logic and efficiency. We have no need for your emotional crutches. As the mocking continued, Elena noticed something the others had missed. In the observation gallery, junior officers and clerks from various species watched with fascination rather than derision. A young Zephyrian's light patterns flickered with what her training told her was curiosity, not contempt. Very well, Elena said, her voice cutting through the laughter. We withdraw our request. 3 months later, the Void Swarm arrived. The attack began at the edge of the Hegemony's territory, a writhing mass of biomechanical horrors that consumed entire star systems like a cancer. Within days, the outer colonies fell silent. Within weeks, core worlds were sending desperate pleas for aid. The High Council convened an emergency session, their previous arrogance replaced by barely contained panic. Vexithara's forearms trembled as he reviewed the casualty reports. How is this possible? He demanded. Our predictive algorithms, our strategic matrices, they showed no threat of this magnitude. Elena, who had remained silent through most of the session, finally spoke. Because your algorithms don't account for hope. Hope? Morden's breathing apparatus wheezed frantically. What good is hope against a force that has already consumed 3 sectors? More than you might think, Elena replied, standing slowly. While you've been governing through fear and cold logic, humanity has been doing something else. We've been building. She activated her personal communicator, and suddenly the chamber filled with voices, thousands of them, speaking in dozens of languages across hundreds of worlds. The Chicago sends greetings from the Orion Front. Mumbai Defense Grid reporting ready. New Kyoto Squadron standing by. Aboriginal Coalition Fleet, prepared to honor the ancestors. Vexithara's eyes widened as the tactical display materialized above the chamber. Human vessels, thousands upon thousands of them, were converging from every corner of known space. But these weren't regulation council ships. They were patchwork fleets, vessels cobbled together from salvaged parts and held together by determination. Impossible, breathed Morden. Our intelligence showed only minor human military presence in the outer systems. Your intelligence was looking for fleets and armies, Elena said, a small smile playing at her lips. You weren't looking for family reunions. The truth dawned on them slowly. When the swarm had first appeared, humanity hadn't waited for counsel. authorization, or strategic committees. They had done what they always did in times of crisis. They had called each other home. From the mining colonies of the asteroid belt came the Rodriguez clan, their industrial haulers converted into weapon platforms. The Chen family arrived from the agricultural worlds of Tau Ceti, their cargo holds filled not with grain but with volunteer fighters. The O'Sullivan Trading Syndicate abandoned their roots to bring news, supplies, and hope to distant outposts. Every Christmas dinner, every wedding, every funeral, Elena explained as the human fleet took position between the swarm and the inner systems. Every time we gathered to tell stories of Uncle Miguel's war service, or Grandmother Chen's escape from Earth, or how the O'Sullivans rebuilt their lives after the Titan mining disaster, we were building something your algorithms could never predict. We were building bonds that span light years and last lifetimes. The battle that followed would be remembered as the longest in galactic history. The hegemony's precision strikes barely slowed the swarm, while their allied fleets retreated in good order to defensive positions. The Zephyrians' energy beings proved vulnerable to the swarm's biodampeners, and even the mighty architects found their constructs corrupted and turned against them. But humanity fought differently. When the Chennai was overwhelmed, her crew didn't retreat. They detonated their reactor, taking a swarm tendril with them while broadcasting their location to warn other ships. When the Nakamura Mining Consortium lost their flagship, the survivors distributed themselves across the fleet, sharing their knowledge and expertise with strangers who welcomed them as family. They fought with a ferocity born not of training or programming, but of love. They died for causes their command structure couldn't quantify and tactical computers couldn't model. And most remarkably, they won. In the aftermath, as the scattered remnants of the swarm fled back into dark space, Elena stood once again before the High Council. But this time the chamber was different. The observation galleries were packed with beings from across the galaxy, and many of the council members themselves looked changed. Ambassador, Vexthera's voice was different now, quieter. We, the council, owes humanity a debt. No debt, Elena replied. Just understanding. Your species achieved peace through order and logic. That's admirable. But humanity learned something different from our history. We learned that the strongest shield against the darkness isn't a wall. It's the knowledge that someone will come when you call their name. She paused, looking around the chamber at faces that no longer held mockery. The invitation still stands, by the way. Christmas dinner, all of you. As she left the chamber, Elena could hear whispered conversations beginning behind her. Questions about human customs, about family bonds, about the strange alchemy that could transform a ragtag collection of misfits into a force that could hold back the night. The stars themselves seemed to listen and approve.